Greetings and bienvenue, MITZU. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Why are you being gangstalked? I personally don't believe in gangstalking, but I'd like to hear why you believe you're a targeted individual. Any reason for why they are after you? And if there's no particular reason, why would someone care to target you?
Gangstalkers are actually confidential informants. Literally anyone can become one. Get a DUI, make a deal with the cops, and now you are one. DUI arrests and drug offenders are usually the ones who are conscripted because they have a weak will and are led by a chemical to go against their own priorities, leading to them being easily manipulated and controlled. Any person on probation or parole is targeted by these people. Only a lack of awareness leads one to not see this. You can be targeted for other reasons such as being under investigation, divorcing a cop, alternative viewpoints, being active on the dark web, or just simply cutting off a Fed in traffic. After they work off their indebtedness, some keep doing it for the money. If they are active in giving info leading to an arrest, they get paid. Your taxpayer dollars are being given to some drug addict criminal for most likely setting up the scenario and providing the evidence which lead to the arrest.
I believe I was targeted for a while. At the time, I'd pulled together some pretty compelling evidence that would prove some damning things about how our world is run. I was at an excellent place in my life. I'd built my reputation up to be a pillar of my community, so that when I did release this information, it wasn't just coming from some crazy person. I must have actually been quite a threat at the time because I had my whole life systematically dismantled. I never believed in gangstalking, I always just thought it was crazy, but then it happened to me. Now it's stopped, so I can see the difference. I don't think as many people are targeted as they believe. I also don't believe targeting is permanent, but I know it's all unfortunately very real.
Care to share any of that compelling evidence?
See different ones of these every time I go out. I could post so many of these collages that I'd get banned for flooding. Every day I see too many of them. Statistically impossible. It's World War Weiner, the Stasi Zersitzung surveillance operation. Marcus Wolf, former Stasi head, helped create the Department of Homeland Security.
Why do you think this has something to do with the government or any sort of human group? It could be that there is divine meaning that could be gleaned from these observations. Each number is a frequency reverberating through reality. Numerical patterns are built into our existence by God.
I have not ruled that out as it's the main reason in my opinion. Also, I will note that aside from blatantly glowing cars like PIC-related, the police department in my area is not in on it. In fact, the glowies are so obvious that they have gotten the attention of the police, who now also occasionally make their presence near me. But the strangest thing is I feel a safety in their presence. I can tell the cops are trying to protect me from provocateurs. Just the other day, being followed by a glowy on my way to get a cheeseburger, and a cop cut off the glowy in the parking lot since the glowy was speeding. While enjoying the burger, the cop also came in to order, sat right in front of me, looked up just once, nodded his head, and then resumed his meal. There is a grand conspiracy out there, but not everyone is in on it. And there are a lot more good guys than bad guys. Never let demoralizers make you feel like you are alone. Obviously, disturbing the peace will cause cops to not be on your side anymore, but as long as you are a regular law-abiding citizen, glowies can literally do nothing but follow GPS instructions from their stupid apps that tell them to go places at certain times of the day, mainly to line up paths with targeted individuals so the travelings are parallel. Most of the times they have no idea what they are really doing. Several bums, crazies, parolees, and criminals and bad faith actors are paid off as well, and they take their job of being a surveillance operator way too seriously. God bless you, Anons. If you are reading this, just know that there are more people that you can trust than there are you cannot. It's not the Truman Show unless you all are in it against me. Get away from me. Just kidding.
Sextant is the practice of monitoring and/or characterizing and indexing the pornographic preferences of Internet users in an effort to later use the information for blackmail. The term is a portmanteau of sexual intelligence, retrieved on an intelligence service target, and was first used by Jennifer Granick Director of Civil Liberties at the Stanford Center for Internet and Society. A leaked NSA document from October 2012 identified 6 people, all Muslims, whom the document termed radicalizers and presented as potential targets of this method. The document does not accuse any of the 6 targets of involvement in terrorist plots, but rather states that the NSA believes the targeted individuals radicalize people through the expression of controversial ideas via YouTube, Facebook, and other social media websites. That said, though, the technology is shockingly advanced. They have mind control technology and extremely advanced psychological profiling. You'd have to see it to believe it, because the people being controlled don't realize they're being controlled. It's remote, and the thought comes across as their own.
I'm not gang-stalked as per the usual meaning of the word, but I get demon-induced aggression from random passers-by. I've developed a good enough radar that I can identify them half a mile away, and they're typically pussies afraid to actually fight. This usually happens soon after I've had a good day, so I know it's this simulation just trying to mess with my emotional state. Nothing to care too much about, really.
Notice how you don't answer why this happens to you, and no, having a good day isn't a reason. It'd be better just to admit you're mentally unwell.
There is literally no reason. Maybe I may look intimidating to someone. I am not very big, but I have been working out. Most people are normal, but then you spot one that will start trouble. He is walking in the middle of the lane. Okay, I walk on my side to allow him plenty of room. I do not look at him unnecessarily. Just as he's passing, I'll glance at him, and he will then be staring at me with an aggressive expression. Keep staring, and I stare back as well until we pass each other. He says something to me by muttering, and may shout at me and try to challenge me to a fight from a distance. Happened twice in the past week or so. But yeah, I'm the one who is mentally unwell because, okay.
I do understand as well there is no gang-stalking community. It's an abyss. You can tell that they only target the poor. People who are rich don't get this unless it's requested. Look into it for yourself. Type in gangstalking and filter by date on YouTube. You will find actual evidence, but the vast majority are of bad quality. You are basically tuning into a torture session if you catch a channel where they upload daily. Some have it worse than others. People come out of that with the worst mental issues. Some stay uploading for years and never stop. It's an abyss of people, both fake and real. Paid and unpaid, actually being stalked and not actually being stalked, documenting their experiences. The people you call gangstalkers use people as lab rats. If you don't know, it's likely you haven't been used in a psychological experiment. I have 4 months worth of my own evidence. Day and night the same things are happening. Very obvious because it's meant to tell you. Every time I'm doing well in life, they are sent to screw it up. Back then it was harder to do, I had less to lose. They want me to have nothing to lose. Also, they do a good number on you through humiliation. They love to find out what's happened to you, what they can make happen to you. Use it to degrade you. They find out some small thing about your personal life, screw it up with it. That or just insult you. Fact is, most people aren't there to listen anyway. They're there to do what their brains find amusing. Do what thou wilt, if you could say. Then there are those who think they've got the picture pieced together and won't care to listen to the actual truth. Then it's a matter of understanding the mind. Why is this thing like this? I don't know, but here I am.
Seems that way. I'm too happy to be affected by them, though. They were steadily ramping up the torture until they were outright doing illegal shit to try to get to me. The police were following all this, and the stalkers backed off after there was a huge raid, with a lot of people getting arrested.
You actually don't need to explain anything, but if you'd like to, I'm here for it. This shit is dark. Don't know what you were getting from them. The police for me only were so helpful. I only called them when it involved others. If it were just me, they wouldn't care or listen. Some of these stalkers are poor as well. I've seen tweaker stalkers too. I know they are doing it because they often tell me in some way that they are. People I don't know from states over report the same shit on places like Quora, so... You see, it leaves me puzzled because no one has an actual answer to any of this. That and no one actually knows what's happening. The software and hardware used.
They have been watching me my whole life. I'm pretty certain my father, a child psychiatrist from the military, was running one of their programs. I overheard enough of my parents' conversations. They thought I was mentally disabled. To know I was a botched experiment. A lot of them go wrong.
I am really sorry about that and just know my situation isn't so different. Don't know, but most of everyone I know or knew is involved in some way. They look at me strangely too. I don't know what they consider me to be, but a Frankenstein. You could call me schizophrenic now, and it could even be tech they use, but it's more than voices at this point.
Be proud they felt the need to do all that to you, yet you're still here. If you have money, move far away and start fresh.
As they started to ignore my existence, so did I start to ignore theirs. No one calls or asks about me. It is not good nor bad, but I know some of them did a lot of bad things and are now living much more freely. Even the cops that should do their work are so corrupt, they made fun of things bad ones do and ignore the facts. Worst thing is that the psychs are academics, and they are the worst sort of people to hang around if you do not like stalking. Old friends become enemies, as they say. So do ones that are not in their circles. But they are experimented by nature itself. But they like to deny the fact that it has more power over them than they have over it.
No money and on the verge of being completely homeless. Life just keeps screwing me in the most absurd, humiliating ways. Maybe if I'm gone, that won't happen. Won't be staying in this police state much longer, and there is no off the grid anymore, so yeah. Have you ever had life slap you and throw you around like a cuck? And it's supposed to be a good thing. Just send me the assassins already. Threats were made months ago. With how much my life sucks, you'd think I have a taste for it at this point. Nope, just life ruining everything. Also, with how much this artificial reality saps my energy, I'm not so sure how long I can keep this riding. I genuinely feel my end is near. I don't think I'll last another year in this beast system cancer virus. I had like this small bit of peace, and the beast saw that, chose to throw me and my stuff about. Now I'm just pissed off and ready for it to be over. No joke, I will never be allowed peace in this construct. They will always steal my light and ruin my life. Revenge is a bitch.
I lost everything, and everyone I was close to came out to be a ghoul conspiring against me. I've suffered much violence because of something my grandfather did in the 1950s. Anyway, it's been years of suffering. I live in a homeless shelter and have no job prospects or possibility of making friends, no money, and no improvement in sight. Anyways, I don't know what to say about the Gangstalkers other than they are mean. I haven't sinned except for 1 or 2 slights, but I haven't had free will. I've been gangstalked my whole life. Yeah, it sucks. Anyway, I found the solution. No desires. I don't desire anything. It's okay, I'm okay, I don't need anything.
Everything that has an internet connection to ISP is susceptible to being monitored. ISP can have a mole planted inside their corporation with a mafia perps to do the data trafficking monitoring possible. I have been a target of gangstalking for the past year, and I can say that the only thing is to ignore the idiot who watches your moves and just stay positive. These people are just lowlives and academic perps to make money and prestige from your suffrage. This has been done for centuries, and they just wanted to advance the technology to make it more effective. Those that deny the existence of such history are their playthings and are working for the mobsters who were nobody in the past and now are prestigious in their field of work. Nikola Tesla was gangstalked because he thought a lot, and those that had no ideas stole his right to his legends. Whoever is gangstalked should be aware of it and counter it with heavy ignorance, just like all great minds do and did. By the way, I generally use GSM when going outside just to be sure that they cannot stalk me while out, even though they are desperate. For a fact, I have heard things about people being gangstalked and then trafficked whilst they have not been aware of such horrific thing being done to them. Care for your life. This technological era is becoming worse every day of the week. Hope in this to stop and remember. The first ones were the Germans that did this. Search gangstalking in German. They were the precursor to the CIA and the human trafficking rings. Scary shit right there.
They aren't just stalking you. You are under full electronic surveillance, so unless you are a lead hacker, they own everything you do online, and they also own your phone, which is a world-class bug. Every therapist or counselor, basically every asshead behind a desk with a psych degree you have ever talked to was snitching on you. Most likely your family members are snitching as well.
They absolutely are. Not to glowies, though, because nobody stalks complete nobodies. Therapist confidentiality is complete bullshit. Of course, they won't tell what your prescription was for this month to someone off the street, but everything juicy will be related to law enforcement.
Shit is real. Been a targeted individual for over a year. Initially, it was tactics other people described in which they tried to make me believe family and friends were spying on me, and when I eventually figured out what was going on, it evolved into 24/7 V2K synthetic telepathy. I usually just ignore them, but every once in a while I will engage. I don't just hear voices, I can actually talk to them. There's no meaningful conversation, just them telling me to shut up, be careful, or incessantly saying we can't do this anymore in order to provide a false sense of hope that it will ever stop. I get the stings, itches. I've had dream manipulation. Wall and ceiling knocks and bangs are almost an everyday occurrence. No idea what the point of it is. I assume the government is behind it, as they seem to also have some sort of vehicle control tech. It's hard to discern whether it's actual people operating the tech or some type of synthetic AI, but with the vast amount of people reporting the same things, it almost has to be AI, unless the government employees engaged in these types of operations range in the thousands.
Do you have theories for how your gangstalking began?
They target people who will be discredited, so I believe I was initially targeted because I was using meth. It started off with tame light harassment, like hearing music when there was no music or a slight whispering of voices, and if I stopped using meth, it would all subside in 2 weeks or so. It wasn't until I thought to myself, hey, maybe I'm not crazy. Let's look into this, and found out about gang stalking and targeted individuals, that it really morphed into something else entirely. I guess the targeting of Portland's drug addicts was extremely common, but the government has also used it in ways like making Iraqi detainees believe they were hearing the voice of Allah in order to extract information.
Paranoia is typical of those who abuse stimulants.
Of course. I fully believed I was a paranoid meth head for months, and also believed during that time that if I stopped using meth, those things would subside in a couple weeks. For some reason, around the 10th cycle of this ordeal, the V2K transformed to be much more direct, and it did not stop if the drug use stopped. I no longer believed people in the next room were talking about me, but was being directly talked to, and shortly thereafter realized I could also talk back, and not aloud but with synthetic telegraphy. It would take a book to detail the events of the last year of my life, the things this technology can do. They refuse to divulge what the actual purpose is, but I've determined that at first the purpose is to ruin you, to drive you to health professionals and be labeled as crazy, and to damage your personal relationships. I think if you survive that phase after realizing that it isn't aliens or demons but old government technology discovered during World War II, with soldiers guarding a radio tower hearing voices in their head, it morphs into some sort of behavioral control. Even then, there is no rhyme or reason to it, as getting off drugs and getting a decent job didn't end the harassment. My gangstalkers are particularly odd, as it's not all bad, as I've gotten some benefits out of the deal, but altogether the experience is absolutely exhausting.
So lately, for the past month and a half, maybe every time, and I mean every single time I step outside of my apartment, there is this lady who comes out at the same exact time walking her dog. Perfectly fine, right? I never gave it any thought. But it keeps happening again and again and again, every time without fail. It doesn't matter what time of day on the clock. She comes out at the exact same time I come out. It could be 3:15, or 3:50, or 4:10, or 4:35, or she comes out with her dog. Her walking schedule doesn't make any sense, and the only thing I can chalk it up to is she just walks her dog way too damn much. The thing is, I've been living at my complex for 10 years and had a similar situation with a neighbor who moved in for like 1 month and had a group of guys following me in white vans. And it was the same shit, where every time I stepped outside my room, a group of guys would come out, get in a white van, and follow me out to the trash area, but then drive off out the gate. When I walked back to my apartment, They would come back and park outside my window, and this happened every single time. So something is up. I've ignored it, thinking it's just a lady who loves to walk her dog, but this has been so damn frequent, it can't be a coincidence.
Wow, how dare she?
No, seriously, I get it. She can do what she wants. All I'm saying is that 100% of the time, every single time I go outside at random, she steps outside with her dog. It's not like I'm lingering outside waiting for her, but like when I open my door, walk downstairs, she walks downstairs at the same time, and there she pops up with her dog. Every single day, no matter what. I just find the whole thing odd is all. I don't notice her outside the window, as I'm watching my window all day. I work from home, and I never notice the frequency of her walking her dog. But as I step out the door, that's when she shows up.
So I went to therapy today, and as I was trying to explain to him that I've been a targeted individual for a long time, and I can't leave my house unattended anymore because I've been being stalked, and the organization gangstalking me could kill me at any minute now. And then all of a sudden, his lights shut off and turned back on, which scared the shit out of me. I shot up out of my seat and walked over to his window and kept looking outside while he's asking me what the hell I'm doing. And sure enough, I see an all-black Yukon with blacked-out windows in the parking lot. And since I was scared of him since I was alone in a room with him, I let him talk me down and acted casual for the rest of the appointment. Is this a sign that he's working with someone? Could it be the people who've been stalking and harassing me? I also heard footsteps in the nearby tree line, but my mom was adamant that I was hallucinating and that nobody was there.
Because I pissed off my hometown sheriff, the same county's largest meth dealer, also richest guy in the county, and the largest fent dealer who I was originally attempting with his coup before it all blew up in my face. Then I conned an investigator to gain enough freedom to flee, and have been targeted ever since the culmination of these events. If I had to bet on it, I'd say it was the sheriff and the meth dealer in conjunction doing the targeting. There's been several attempts on my life, anytime I stagnate for longer than a week somewhere, but if I stay on the move, they don't seem to be able to keep the trail immediately. But you're right, most ties are almost definitely just schizos.
Dude, they're monitoring your thoughts 24/7, trust me.
Sounds skitsy, but even if true, why wouldn't they use that to capture and disappear me as they attempt to do anytime I stay still long enough for them to get someone close to me? Doesn't quite logically, but I stay on my toes anyways. Got God on my side or NSA trying a psyop or weird coincidence currently pick related. Pund ham. Piggies BTFO LOL.
They won't arrest you themselves or turn you in. They troll you but don't give a damn about getting you arrested. Their goal is to change your character morally and to increase discipline and mental strength.
I don't know, like I've said, anytime I stay in one place for around a week I end up almost being disappeared. I don't really get trolled at all, just stalked and attacked on every reasonable opportunity. The stalkers seem to not do the attacking though. They seem to do the finding, and if I don't disappear myself far enough quick enough, someone else shows up to attempt to disappear me for them. If they could monitor my thoughts, why would it take time for them to find me to attempt? I don't know if I'm being targeted the same way you hear most of the schizoids talking about Anon. They aren't putting voices in my head and shit. But they definitely have a seemingly unending number of people all across the US that they have some way of putting on the task of hunting me. Maybe I just have a super stalkable, murderable face or something, but in context, it seems obvious who's behind it.
They don't put voices in my head either. They are super intelligent and will throw you misleading information. I think it's to make you more skeptical in the long term, or perhaps just to get you to rely less on logical thinking in situations where logical thinking really just will not suffice.
I'm not saying you're wrong, but I don't see what the point of that would be. Or the point of them trolling me, as you said earlier. Like, someone actively wants me dead, and seems to be putting legit resources into accomplishing it. Probably not the same they that you're used to, but I guess who knows?
I'm not a criminal. I never got into any debts. I'm not a political radical, although I dabbled in left-wing stuff in my youth. I shitposted a bit on these boards. I'm aware there is a New World Order type world conspiracy. I'm definitely not a terrorist and have never assaulted anyone. I think the worst thing I've done is troll online immaturely long ago. I've been decent to almost everyone I've ever met. I have been an asshole on rare occasions. I have always tried to help people, yet I am targeted. I'm not sure why exactly. I no longer think it's purely intel agencies either. Human institutions and technology are being used, but I have concluded that they are vectors for demonic forces. The targeting only intensified when my personal faith in God increased strangely enough. Now the demonic realm is coming into focus. Note that many families are like mini farms, and the parents are often masks for generational demons who birth you and raise you for sacrifice. Get off the internet. It's a biometric scanning ID system for the demonic system. Currently, massive human sacrifice is occurring covertly, using advanced electromagnetic weaponry. The cellular communication tech is not what we are told. Me again. I don't know why, but they are signaling that I am somehow damned and will soon die. They hurt my head with electric signals. My brain feels swollen from the electric pulses. Why me? I don't get it. I have deep love for many. My wish has always been for the good of people. I feel bad for anyone suffering. My misguided politics were even because I feel for people subjugated. I have been hedonistic and lazy. I liked to take MDMA in the past because it made me see the beauty in others and took away trauma. I saw it as therapeutic. Somehow this system has a false image of me. I know it has incorrect data on me. It confuses me with family members. I know because it relays wrong data back to me when trying to relay its knowledge. False images of us have been created based on internet data and bad information. I also suspect witchcraft is occurring where sins are being transferred from other people onto us. They make us sacrificial targets for this system through rituals that put the crimes of others on us. Also, they accuse me of being in gambling debts. I have never gambled before. Maybe 1 or 2 small bets ever in my life. I have perhaps taken some money that I arguably should not have taken at some stage, but nothing major, and I never broke any laws. Also, I repented of this. I also repented of drug use and porn, although now, because they hurt my head and I can't sleep, I am tempted to take meds to cope. I am glad I overcame porn. I am overcoming my laziness, but it is hard as they are now trying to kill me. The attacks on my brain with the electrical system are severe. Because debts are the excuse they use to murder you and harvest your brain. The perp assumed you were in debt and made a wrong assumption, or got you mixed up with another profile. But people are just being taken at random by the system now, I think. If a whole country is in debt, they are just abducting people at random. Although they have everyone's entire thought history now, from search engine entrances so they can pull anything out of their ass to make literally anyone look like a bad person. Because debts are the excuse they use to murder you and harvest your brain. The perp assumed you were in debt and made a wrong assumption, or got you mixed up with another profile. But people are just being taken at random by the system now, I think. If a whole country is in debt, they are just abducting people at random. Although they have everyone's entire thought history now, from search engine entrances so they can pull anything out of their ass to make literally anyone look like a bad person.
Online harassment is present on this board in Nobody Generals, with the dumb, plausible deniability such as, "We aren't doxing you, we are talking about the nobody." These internet-targeted individuals, celebrities, can just stop posting YouTube videos and they would be forgotten soon. Gangstalking, however, happens in real life. Stalking tactics used include 1. Illegal surveillance, bugs placed in home, work, vehicle. 2. Illegal wiretapping. 3. Illegal investigation of all personal and private documents, including medical and financial records. 4. waves of criminal activity including vandalism, poisoning, break-ins, theft, and sexual assault. 5. Hacking of all electronic devices. 6. Harassing phone calls, texts, and emails. 7. Redirects to gangstalkers when the target calls for help or assistance. 8. Organized harassment and stalking by law enforcement, private security firms, and ordinary citizens. 9. Being ostracized by entire communities based on slander and rumors, usually outright lies said about that person.
I think this was a decade ago. It was mild. I had gotten an electric guitar recently, so I was walking to my friend's place carrying my transistor amp. On my way to my friend's place, I ran to 3 or 4 youths. One of them I might have chatted with 1 or 2 times, but it was not a friend nor a person whom I knew who knew me. As it turns out, YouTube algorithm had recommended to me that week, or prior, a video on the ventriloquist guy who did a joke on Lindsay Lohan's coke at the airport. Now IDK what the hell happened if I replied with my online alias or what on the YouTube video with many views. But one of youth was making joke to his friends about, "Hey, I'm Lindsay Lohan," same way the ventriloquist did on the video, but then suddenly addressed me by my online nickname, Hello X. I stopped. I didn't take a deep look into their faces because I was already shut in at this point, and it was dark, but I tried to look a bit. But I knew at that moment something wasn't right. Some person who might as well be rando called me by my online alias, even though I had not shared it with them. I stopped for a moment, but then continued walking to my friend's place, and he said, "We love you too, wussy." I don't remember if this time he used my real name or alias, but I guess he used my real name this time. This is one incident that always struck me weird, 'cause as far as I remember, the week hadn't been weird in any way. I hadn't made any big discoveries, or not that I can remember. The theory that once you discover something, they target you more or send people to harass. I might have already developed interest in the UFO phenomenon from watching torrented UFO Hunters episodes, but I really can't think. This situation would have to be my only encounter of "you're being watched" phenomenon that involves other people. Off topic, but I got my first plague the day after I mentioned Demiurge to someone I know in real life, and second time too something similar was case.
Most of the targeted individual stuff seems like paranoia. Things that are hard to prove really happened or even existed. But like, there is definitely something physically attempting to kill me. I don't know if most of the targeted individual people are insane or if reality itself really is some kind of prison planet type concept. But I know I'm not just paranoid or schizo. I've literally had to dig bullets out of my muscle meat and burn the holes closed. I've literally had to sew my own knife wound shut and steal antibiotics to avoid dying of infection. Like, I don't imagine that everybody on the street is following me because they said a weird phrase or some code word. But if I'm constantly moving, I get to a whole new state, and someone is following me at a distance all day. And then they're still there the next, and then if I stay for much longer, I end up getting shot at. But if I ditch the stalker, get far enough away, and then notice someone else following me at some point, who's also then there day after day, all day following me before another attempt is made, or I lose them long enough to get far enough away again. Like, I know I'm not just being paranoid and my brain isn't just making things up. I mean, without the shootings and the physical attacks and wounds and scars afterwards, I would say sure, I could be a paranoid schizo. But like, I got shot twice, and have been shot several other times. I've been stabbed. I would be dead if I couldn't defend myself and was a little less aware of my surroundings sometimes. And I'm probably going to be dead soon anyways, because I'm just one guy and it didn't seem like they're just going to give up, Liel. Even if they did, I've got several warrants out over the original incident, and the incidents afterwards where I had to defend myself and flee. So I'm either dead or imprisoned at some point. Probably no real way around it unless I find somebody high enough in government to believe me and help me prove and fight it.
I think they have lists of us. They got our biometrics from signals. Now they are trying to kill or body snatch people they don't need anymore. I suspect our flaws are given to the foot soldiers as reasons we are to be disposed of. I'm guessing it works like, if they want a conservative guy murdered, they use activists and paint him as a fascist. If they want a woman murdered, they use a man who hates women and vice versa. And they have all the data to draw from to paint you however they want. But it can never be an accurate depiction of the actual person. I believe demons created this system. Like I said, human institutions are only the vectors.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more green texts will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.
Remember to check the Odyssey and Rumble pages for separate archives of previous broadcasts.